Better Call Saul, the popular Breaking Bad spin-off starring Bob Odenkirk, recently aired the first part of its sixth season, which had some pretty big connotations for some of the characters on the show, none more so than Kim, played by Rhea Seehorn, who had a pretty interesting episode 6. Today we are recapping season 6, episode 6, and discussing why Kim's fate now seems as though it is probably certain. Stay with us. First up, what exactly went down in the episode? The episode aired on May 16th and saw Howard's private eye report that other than an unusual $20,000 cash withdrawal, the pair were keeping a pretty standard routine. They both then presumably got away from the watchful glances of said investigator, acquiring a drug from Caldera which they will use in their plot against Howard. However, the doc tells Jimmy and Kim he plans to leave behind his criminal endeavors, showing them his criminal contacts book, insinuating it's for sale. Jimmy then photographs a Rand Casimiro impersonator, whilst Kim is invited to Santa Fe to meet with a foundation which deals with work similar to her pro bono interests. Incidentally, the day she is supposed to go is the same day they plan to initiate their plot against Howard, but Jimmy encourages her to go anyway. However, after spotting Casimiro with a broken arm, something he didn't pick up on earlier, Kim cancels her engagement and returns to Albuquerque. Elsewhere, Lalo catches up with Casper and plans to interrogate him after subduing him during their struggle. The first half of season 6 is starting to bubble up nicely, which should set us up for some fireworks when the second and final part of the season drops, which will of course bring the series to a conclusion in a few weeks. Have you guys enjoyed season 6 so far? Let us know below. So what does all this mean for Kim? Kim Wexler is of course one of the good guys in Better Call Saul, and at the start of the episode we actually get to see a little glimpse into her past. We learn about the relationship she had with her mother after being caught stealing from a store as a teenager. Her mother almost implores the store manager to call the cops, scolding Kim so much that the manager is satisfied that she won't try to steal from the store again. But this is all a ruse, and as soon as they leave the store, Kim's mom starts to laugh and give her a metaphorical pat on the back for getting away with it. We then learn that during the fake dressing down she gave Kim, she actually stole the earrings as a gift to her daughter, showing us how Kim has almost turned into her mother thanks to Saul. We then see her basically choose a life of crime and potentially jail just when she had been extended an olive branch. She chose to return to Saul after learning of Casimiro's broken arm, when really she should have left all of that behind, putting Albuquerque and Saul in her rearview mirror and heading to Santa Fe for good. This of course didn't happen, which suggests she could have sealed her own fate, unfortunately. Where do you guys think all this leaves Kim? What can we take from Kim's decision then? Well, considering the fact that Better Call Saul takes place before the events of Breaking Bad, we think this decision could play a pretty pivotal role in not just Kim's future, but also Jimmy's, Saul's. Of course, we never actually see Kim Wexler in Breaking Bad, even though there is a ton of work for Saul to do. He never once calls his old partner Kim to lighten the load that Jesse and Heisenberg have brought to his door. A few things could have happened here. Kim could have been caught for one of the crimes she has committed during the show's run, or the pair could have been caught for the potentially failed plot against Howard, with Jimmy throwing Kim under the bus and blaming it all on her. If either of these scenarios have taken place, it would explain her absence in Albuquerque during the events of Breaking Bad. Have the inadvertent lessons she would have learned from her mother finally caught up with her? There is of course another scenario. She could come to her senses, we hope, and actually figure out a way to get to Santa Fe and work with the Foundation. This would surely be the hope of all fans, but as we have seen in the Breaking Bad universe, the fairy tale ending rarely, if ever, happens. What do you think the rest of the show has in store? Give us your theories below. Some good news in the viewership department for the first half of season 6 now. As we all know, competition for viewing figures is fierce, and with the 9 p.m. ET slot, AMC will have been hoping for some pretty decent numbers. Well, they got what they hoped for, as the mid-season finale, which aired on May 23rd, attracted 2.2 million viewers. This of course included DVR viewing, and the broadcaster has suggested that use of their streaming platform, AMC Plus, is up more than 60% over season 6 so far. And AMC's president of entertainment, Dan McDermott, was quoted as saying, "The response to this final season of Better Call Saul from viewers, critics, longtime fans, and new arrivals to the series on all platforms has been everything we had hoped for." He then lauded the creative team behind the show, suggesting that Better Call Saul is completely unique when compared with other shows. And having started off as a highly anticipated spin-off of Breaking Bad, the legal crime drama has developed into a mammoth in its own right, suggesting it will be sorely missed once the second half of Season 6 drops later this summer. The final episode of the series will air on August 15th, when we will sadly be saying goodbye to our much-loved characters. What will you be watching once Better Call Saul is done? Next up, Giancarlo Esposito has given his thoughts on working with Jonathan Banks. Esposito, who plays the scheming Gus Fring, has recently been discussing his co-star Jonathan Banks, who plays the no-nonsense Mike Ehrmantraut. Of course, both appeared in the main show Breaking Bad, with Mike meeting his maker at the hands of Walt, but the pair have been instrumental in making both shows what they are. And the recent 6th episode saw a major change for Giancarlo, who actually directed the episode for his TV directorial debut. Esposito has directed films before, but strangely never a TV show, and he explained that he was pretty nervous in the build-up. He went on to say, "The visual sense of this is different than anything I've done. I've directed film, and this season in particular, more than any other, really reflects a film." He then gave props to his longtime acting collaborator Banks, who he described as such a fine actor. Esposito spoke of how he asked Jonathan to give us a glimpse of a part of Mike we hadn't seen before in the episode, during the stargazing scene. He said he achieved that very well, but I wanted to not lose his edge and his despair in his scene watching his granddaughter and his daughter-in-law, and he delivered that scene so beautifully. He then told of how tricky it was to work with Jonathan because he is so smart and understands the character he is portraying better than anyone, and he delivers one of the greatest characters across both shows in our opinion. Who is your favorite character? And finally, could we be set for another Breaking Bad spinoff? Let's discuss. As we know, Better Call Saul will soon be all over once the second part of Season 6 drops, but could we be set for another spinoff involving none other than Gus Fring? Some fans have claimed that there could have been a subtle clue in Season 6, which suggests the creators could be planning exactly that. Better Call Saul has been a lesson in how to do a spinoff correctly, and has avoided the usual pitfalls that generally come with this sort of project, so another spinoff could easily work as long as the same writers and crew are involved. And Esposito himself has spoken of his interest in a series based around his character in the past, with both Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould both admitting that there are more untold stories in the Breaking Bad universe. In the final episode of the first part of Season 6, Gus responds to a question about why this particular charity, youth development, was so close to his heart. He replies by saying, "I think of the guidance that I had as a child." However, we know Gus lived in poverty as a child, so is this mysterious guide setting up a potential spinoff? We sure hope so. He could be referring to Peter Schuler, with whom we know he shares a solid bond. We also know Gus Fring is likely to be an alias, so all of this mystery suggests a Gus-centered spinoff would work pretty well. What do you guys think? As always, thanks for dropping by today, and remember to join us again next time for some more fun and games. And why not do us a solid by liking and sharing today's video with any Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul fans you might have lurking on your friends list. Bye guys.